coast to coast, it's your hosts, the Lombardi Leap and Mersey FB. This is Beyond the Frozen Tundra.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Blaine, here with Matt, and here we are on another episode of Beyond the Frozen Tundra. And we're just going to kind of talk about some, I guess, off-season news. I don't know if that's what you call it, but just kind of like expectations here. Because obviously we're at the part of the year where I think there's I believe it's 22 days until training camp starts. I'm pretty sure. I think that's where we're at.
It starts on the 29th? I thought it started a little earlier.
I saw somebody posted that we are officially Matthew Golden's old number away, but that
was
could have been
22.
from a couple days
That was
ago.
22.
Okay, so maybe they do start. They start soon.
End
That's
of the
what
month.
matters.
End of the month.
Yes, they start new. They start soon. And just kind of the one off-season news is that Jaden Reed proposed to his girlfriend, Miss
Congrats to
Wisconsin.
him.
Yeah, Anisha Cox. So Jaden Reed. I have his jersey, so that's awesome. I'm glad Jaden Reed got an extension. I'm glad Christian Watson got an extension. I think the biggest thing we're just kind of waiting on right now is Tucker Kraft thing. When do you? And that's kind of an off season. When do you think that gets done? 'Cause I thought they couldn't get it done until September. I thought Ken Ingalls said that.
I would expect the early training camp, pretty much as soon as he touches the field,
Yeah,
is what I would expect. But again, up to them.
'Cause I'd imagine that there's stuff because I haven't heard anything. Oh, he is eligible. Okay, so I don't know where I heard he had to wait until September.
Was it Wyatt waiting till September?
Maybe it's Wyatt because they picked up his fifth year.
Okay.
That could be why. I don't know why, but yeah. So I mean, I think the Tucker Kraft one could be anytime soon. I'd imagine though it'll probably be right around training camp is when stuff kind of happens, just because they want to make sure his ACL is good. Obviously, which is understandable. And then, obviously, the Kyle Pitts extension does impact the Tucker Kraft deal because he's getting $18 million per year.
You think Tucker gets more than Kyle Pitts, right?
I mean, so right now Pitts is getting 18, George Kittle's getting 19.1, and Trey McBride is getting around 19 per year.
So we call it 19.2-ish.
Do you think he should get more than Kittle?
Yes.
You think so?
If you're telling me who would you rather have between Tucker Kraft and George Kittle as of current day players, I would take Tucker Kraft right now. If you're saying George Kittle at his healthiest and at his peak versus Tucker Kraft right now, I would take George Kittle. But because George has had more of a history of injuries and everything like that,
he's 32
and he's on the older side. Tucker Kraft is what, 25?
Yeah,
he's 25.
I think so.
Coming off, if he didn't tear his ACL in week 8 or 9 against the Panthers, he would have easily had 1,000 yards, led the team. It's just things like these.
Yeah, I mean, he had in 32 receptions, 489 yards, averaged 15.3 yards per catch. Had a long of 59, 6 touchdowns.
Yeah,
and
so he was the team's leading receiver. He was the offense in the first half of the year.
First half of the season, yeah, without Christian Watson especially, 100%.
This is why we're so optimistic when both him, Watson, and Golden are all on the field healthy. And when you add in Reed to that situation too, this is why we're so optimistic about it. But yeah, I'd firmly say
competent offensive line.
I'd firmly say you would give Tucker $19.2 million a year. Again, it doesn't have to be that value on paper, but just so the social media, the agent can say, I've negotiated the highest paying tight end deal or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, because we all know the market and where it's at. And
he blocks really well too.
He does it all.
Does it all.
And I think too, when did Kittle sign his extension? I think it was a couple years. It was a year ago.
Oh, 2024.
It was a year this past April.
Okay.
Yeah, he signed his latest 4-year deal in April of 2020.
No, then
2025.
God,
yeah.
2026 does not seem real to me, guys. I'm still stuck a year behind. Sorry. I turn 21 tomorrow. This is still a tough hump to get over.
21. Well, happy birthday.
Yeah. Not quite yet.
Not close. Close, but no cigar. Yeah, I mean, you gotta. I feel like you gotta. And because Trey McBride probably signed his Ooh, was it around Kittle?
Yeah, it would have been at the same
It,
time.
it must have been like just before it, because I feel like Trey McBride would have gotten more than Kittle because he is younger. Like it must have been. It's either 2024. Trey McBride signed a 4-year, $76 million deal. Oh, yeah, he did. He signed it. So he got his deal April 3rd, and then Kittle got his deal April 29th of 2025.
Okay.
That's actually kind of funny.
Mhm.
So that's why they gave him an extra $100K per year for George Kittle. So, I mean, 19-2, wouldn't shock me because I think he's better than Kyle Pitts. I think kind of giving him only 18 is a bit of an insult considering what he's put up. Like, I know Kyle Pitts has had a 1,000-yard season, but that's on 68 receptions. That was in 2021. I mean, he almost had 1,000 yards last year, which explains why they did get him. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think you have to I think you're looking at making him one of the highest paid tight ends in football, considering just how instrumental he was to the offense and how important it is, just how valuable he is as an all around tight end.
Yeah. And then that's like him once Wyatt signs too, that's the last big extension until you're looking at LVN in the fall. So, or not in the fall, but in the spring. So
The spring, yeah. And that's a question too. Is it's like, do you extend LVN? Do you extend Wyatt?
yes to both. I would extend Wyatt differently than how you would typically expect, though.
Would you do like a 2-year or 3-year?
I would treat it. I would almost give him sort of less than the John Franklin Myers deal, but I would treat it as, hey, think of this as your third contract.
Yeah, I can agree with that just because of his age.
And then, so you give him a 2 to 3 year deal. Third year isn't guaranteed, and stack it with like performance bonuses, stuff like that.
Yeah, because if you're giving him a 3-year deal, I mean, that means he'd be 31, 32.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I'm assuming that what the Packers would do is because they picked up his 5th-year option, it would basically be a 4-year deal, which means he would be under contract until he turns 32, and they would probably have an out when he turns 30. That would be kind of my guess. So it would be a 3-year. It would be announced as a 3-year deal, but like on paper, because that's just what they do. It would be a 4-year deal on paper.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
And then LVN too. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously you got rid of Rashawn Gary, picked up his 5th-year option. You're kind of hoping for him to have a breakout, but you did draft Dennis Day Sutton, and what if he like balls out?
Then you're cutting like Colin Oliver or Baron Sorrell, and you don't feel bad about it.
Baron Sorrell. Fair. Okay, that's fair. But like, my point though is like, if DDS does ball out, are you less inclined to extend LVN?
No, because again, it's fairly hard to find players with LVN's like physical attributes with the size, speed, strength, all of that. I would rather keep the 13th overall pick on a cheaper deal compared to Sorrell or Colin Oliver.
Or Colin Oliver. I mean, Colin Oliver, we don't know what we have yet.
But
like,
again,
we know what we'd like to have.
It's good to have too many pass rushers and not enough pass rushers.
Yeah. Yeah, pass rushers are one of those things where it's like you can never have enough of them. And so I understand why they drafted another one this year, and they obviously got a heck of a steal in DDS there. I mean, people had him as a borderline first, definitely a second, and then we picked him up in the 3rd, right?
Yeah. No, we picked him up in the 4th.
Or the 4th.
It's even more of a steal.
They were trying to trade up for him, but it just it fell right to us. So yeah, that's awesome. Just kind of the value there, and like you said, you can never have enough pass rushers here. Where are you at with this offensive line? How are you feeling about it? Like, I legitimately feel like this season. Well, I don't know. Again, like it's tough. I'm gonna say two things here. One, like, yeah, I know I'm kind of rambling. A lot of people have said that this season is going to hinge on how well the offensive line performs, and I agree with that to a point, but at the same time, like Jordan Love, I don't think gets enough credit for how he hides the deficiencies of the offensive line at times.
Oh, for sure.
Obviously, when
he's
you're
like what, 3rd in sacks escaped or something like that, or
Yeah.
avoided. I can't remember what the exact chart was. I know for sure he's in the top 5. He does hide a lot. It's a question of how the unit congeals. We swapped combinations a lot last year.
Yes.
We never had a solid starting 5. If we can get that heading in, by week 2 of training camp, here are the top 5, and then these guys stay healthy, I think that those issues will be a lot quieter per se. When you think about
an important thing to
Oh.
Well, I was gonna say, last year, what happened was, I think that, if let's say Rasheed Walker came back, if the combination of Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, Aaron Banks, Sean Ryan only played like a total of like 50 snaps together or something like that,
yeah,
it was super super low. So that's gonna play an impact, and obviously you had some games where they didn't score a lot of points because the offensive line was just getting absolutely murdered, and you got rid of Rasheed Walker, who played horribly as the year went along, just progressively got worse. And you replaced him with your first round pick in Jordan Morgan, who ideally slots in better at left tackle. They brought back Sean Ryan. I don't know how I feel about that still, in terms of him going at the center. I think that they should just run with Jagger Burton because I think he is the center both now and in the future, but they seem to want to cross train him at guard again, whatever. I won't be frustrated again just because that's the way they do it. And it kind of raises the question too how much do they trust Aaron Banks staying healthy?
that's the question mark, right? Is health for this group. Sean Ryan in pivotal moments got hurt. Aaron Banks was hurt for multiple games. When you look at it, they cross-trained Belton all year or all offseason and during his rookie year, and then they threw him in at right guard and they tried to play him at tackle when they needed him to. I think if you give him an offseason at one position, that'll help him greatly. Zach Tom being healthy again, he missed the final 5 games of the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
he was pretty beat up.
And he got beat up early in the year too, because he got hurt during the Lions game in week 1. Didn't come back, I believe, until week 3 or 4.
Yeah, and even then, you could tell he still wasn't completely healthy, and then he needed some work there. I think it's interesting you bring up Belton too, because Belton obviously is going to probably be the right guard, and I did read recently that he dropped about 30 pounds.
Good for him.
Yeah. So
They'll help him
gonna
be a
be
little more
interesting to see.
agile for sure, and could even help him out at tackle. Because he was what was he coming out?
He played strictly left tackle coming
Yeah.
out.
So swapping sides
But
and position is a little hard.
yeah, and I know that they say that swapping to guard is a little bit easier. But
Oh, he weighed
he did go
336 when he got drafted.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if he's down to
So he
316
did.
now, that's a lot better.
Yes, yeah. They said he dropped like 20, 30 pounds. So that'll be interesting to see how well he moves. It sounds like things have been going well for him this year. So him sliding at guard, which is where I think he should play. I mean, maybe he ends up being a swing tackle. I don't know. I do think he can. He probably slots better to guard, and I think the Packers see that too. So all in all, this offensive line, it did go through a rotunda. It was masked a lot by Jordan Love. If they even just play 10 spots better, if they're even just semi-average, that's going to help Josh Jacobs. That's going to help Jordan Love even more because you can't. You're not going to be able to defend against the likes of Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed,
Tucker.
and Tucker Kraft.
And whoever they tried out there at running back,
Yeah.
which is looking like it's going to be Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be Josh Jacobs here moving forward still. That whole entire situation. If I had to say expectation, the expectation seems like Josh Jacobs is going to be on the team because it doesn't seem like anything is taking place with
Legally.
his whole.
I think they have
Yeah,
5
legally
weeks.
taking place.
I think from the time of his release, they have 5 weeks to decide whether or not to actually additionally pursue it. But
And how long ago was that now? Yeah, it just says his case remains open. That's it. It remains ongoing. So that's May 23rd. May 23rd is when it happened. We're on week. So they're getting close, like basically. And I feel like it is kind of dragging out. And when it's one of those things, I think the Packers kind of know the gist of it. And if there was anything deeply going on, the Packers would have cut him. Because I mean, look at the whole Terry and Arnold situation.
True.
That entire
That's way
like,
worse.
That's way worse.
They're both pretty
no.
bad, but
They're both bad. Yeah, I don't want to say domestic violence is bad. Okay, people. I just want to reiterate that. And so is kidnapping or participating in that, which is completely. Both situations are wild, but like the Lions, obviously, they were just like, nope, this is too much of a distraction. There's clearly something wrong here. We're cutting him. And the Packers are a very conservative team when it comes to dealing with stuff like this, from what I've seen, especially in the past. So I just kind of feel like if there was anything going on here, the Packers would have done something by now.
I agree. What do you think of the videos from Micah's trainer of Colin Oliver, Baron Sorrell, Nazeer, and Chris McClellan all working out together?
I think Micah is every bit the leader that you need in that locker room. I don't want to throw shade to Rashawn Gary. Like he did contribute to the Packers, but it just seems like Micah Parsons is the leader that you kind of wanted Rashawn Gary to be, and the leader you kind of wanted Kenny Clark to be. Because like I never saw Gary do stuff like that or Kenny Clark.
No, I'm not super like out in the public eye like that, but
no, not at all. And so I legitimately think that Micah Parsons, all that garbage from Dallas saying, "Well, he wasn't that great in the locker room." Well, clearly I don't believe. Clearly,
well,
that's
not in Penn
the
State.
case.
But that's in the past.
Well, they said like that was their argument for Dallas too, was that he wasn't really a locker room guy and he just didn't really fit the culture anymore. And I'm just like, well, clearly he fits our culture because a guy who is working out in his offseason while still recovering from an ACL, getting everybody together. And I think it was at his backyard, right?
Yeah, it was in his backyard. His backyard
Yeah, it was in
field
his
there.
backyard. Yeah, so he's inviting people into his home. He's inviting his teammates into his home to train with
It was
his
his
trainer.
backyard in Dallas too, so it was like, come hang out in Dallas with me and train.
I'm like, let's get better. Yeah, that's a culture guy. That's a guy you need on the defense. And I mean, it's actually kind of funny. You bring up the defense here. Like, what are your expectations for this defense going into next year? Like top 10 when Micah comes back? Or are you kind of giving him a little bit of slack here because of the cornerback room and the fact that we don't have Micah Parsons for probably like the first 8 weeks?
I feel like top 10 is everything going right, even without Micah, because there's a small chance it looks real ugly early in the season. But
yeah, it's just gonna depend on how well they can get pressure. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. Is how well are they gonna get pressure to the quarterback? Like I expect Edgerrin Cooper to basically be in the All-Pro conversation this year, or like I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a Pro Bowl. Like I think Edgerrin Cooper is going to take another leap here.
Yeah, I think Williams can too, and you know how good Xavier McKinney is, but it's this corner room, whether or not they can get anything out of Benjamin St-Juste, and if Cisse can play at a high level right away.
Yeah, and I also think too that if an underrated guy is Damani Jackson, like I honestly I forget that he's on this roster, that we did draft him. But like Damani Jackson is one of those guys too that obviously he has a high athletic or RAS score. He last year was I think he was considered like a 3rd or 2nd round pick at one point. And the reason is he went back is because he thought he could be a potential 1st round pick. And unfortunately, that just didn't work out for him. He got in his own head a bit. That was kind of the big thing. And former Green Bay Packer, HaHa Clinton-Dix is the director of player personnel, I believe, at
Alabama. Yeah.
At Alabama. Yeah. And like, HaHa did say that too. Like, yeah, like he was going through some stuff mentally. He's a great player. He reached out to me, kind of a thing. So and like that's what it did seem like too for Damani Jackson. So it'll be interesting to see how well the rookies coming in and if they found another potential diamond in the rough kind of a deal like they did with Carrington Valentine. Like I know we rag on Carrington Valentine. Like I love what the personality that Carrington Valentine brings. Like I do that. It's just he can't tackle. I can't say that for Damani Jackson. Like I believe Damani Jackson can and is a much more willing tackler than Carrington Valentine. It's just it seemed like he was in his own head, and again, like he's clearly going through some stuff that was made known. So I don't know. I think Damani Jackson's kind of an underrated guy for the secondary that you could be looking at here moving forward.
Yeah. It's how like little of an impact can you ideally have Keyshawn Nixon make?
Pretty much. Yeah. At what point is he going to be sitting on the bench?
If you can have, if by like week 3, if it's St. Just and Cisse are your corner 1 and 2 in any order, and then you put Valentine on the field in obvious passing downs. Sure, love that.
Yeah.
That. And then, I mean, corners' jobs get easier when the ball is coming out quicker. So if we're generating that edge pressure, then perfect.
Yeah, and that'll help your rookie cornerback too. And if you are getting that edge pressure, you'll be more likely to keep your rookie cornerback out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, LVN was having a good year. I know we talked about his extension here earlier, but like LVN was having a good year until like everything else happened. Dealt with nagging injuries,
and then also,
unfortunately,
like he popped off so well and so far in minicamp, but again, that's just in like shorts and a helmet. So we can't really find out what is what until pads come on. But
important. And yeah, the pads are going to be what really kind of determines it here moving forward. And like, yeah, I mean, if everything does go perfectly, I do agree. The expectation is top 10 defense. And I think with Micah Parsons back, obviously it might take him a little bit to kind of get reacclimated. I think like end of the year when you're starting to make that run, you're starting to really kind of get it into gear as you're closing out the year, going into the playoffs. You're the hot streaks. I think that's I do think that's very important, is to win a lot more games towards the end of the year, especially going into the playoffs, to kind of build that momentum moving forward. Having a top 5 defense towards the end of the year would be essential there. On the flip side of that, I don't see this getting talked about enough, because I think that a lot of the beat writers, I'd say even a good majority of the fans, are assuming that because Matt LaFleur got his extension, that his job is completely safe.
Not quite. If it's kind of like another like 7th round or 7th seed exit, then warms up. If you're 9 and 8 again, it definitely warms up. There's just these expectations that are kind of constantly around the team now. So
I think Brian Gutekunst really set the expectation.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've been critical of some of Brian Gutekunst's draft picks. Like, I will admit that.
There's a couple that I didn't love.
Yeah. There's a couple that I'm not a fan of, but he said, I think this is in like his end of the year presser. I believe that I have built a Super Bowl winning roster. I'm paraphrasing slightly here. We just need to make sure we're putting guys in positions to succeed, which obviously is an interesting concept, or an interesting thing to say. I mean, you drafted a first-round wide receiver. He obviously didn't perform as well as you expected, but I mean, again, it's just the way the Packers do stuff. And he is now, Matthew Golden's obviously slotted to be in a more defining role here moving forward. So if Brian Gutekunst is saying that, hey, like, I believe we have a Super Bowl winning roster, just got to play guys properly, I think that's a shot at Matt LaFleur. And I also think it's important to note that Brian Gutekunst did not hire Matt LaFleur directly. That was Murphy's hire. Okay. So, yeah. So that's something that doesn't get talked about. And again, I am inclined to agree with you that if everything stays relatively healthy and Matt LaFleur is another 7th round seed, the offense is inconsistent, or they like choke away big games again, I don't think Matt LaFleur is the coach of this football team going into the 2027 season. I don't think that's outlandish to say.
So here's the thing. I think it is fair to criticize Matt LaFleur and have these takes about him. One of the things I would like to see is these past 2 years, it's never felt like he's had an answer for a defense. I would like to stop seeing defenses get ahead of him. When you look at like the Cleveland game, what's another good example?
Second half of the Bears
like
game?
The Bears games. Anytime the offense just like stalls out. Denver, I know that like you were missing a bunch of pieces. It's the adaptability isn't there.
I mean, you were up 2 scores against Denver. You were up 2 scores against the Bears as well.
But once you start to see like, oh, the run's not working. All right, maybe swap it up. Don't just keep running the ball and hoping it works. Like,
Yeah, I would say let Jordan Love cook. Like,
This
you're
goes
paying
back-
Jordan Love.
this goes back to the putting
Let him-
players in positions to succeed. He's not quite doing that sometimes.
He's very too rigid with his system at times. Like, hey, we're gonna do the book. I got the book, abide by the book, kind of a thing. And that obviously hurts you in certain scenarios and situations. So, like, so obviously, like, we want him to win a Super Bowl. What do you think is the bare minimum for Matt LaFleur to not be considered on the hot seat for this
NFC
season?
Championship.
I agree too. And people would say I'm insane for saying that too. Because they're like, that's really hard to do. Like, I've talked with a few other people who have said, well, he needs to at least win the division. And
That would be a start.
I would argue, no, that would be a start, but I don't think that's enough. I don't think winning the division is enough. And the reason is I say that is because, like, while I understand that this is technically a different team because it's a different quarterback, different wide receivers. This isn't Devontae Adams. This isn't Alan Lazard. This isn't Jake Kummerow. Throwing out some names there from back then. This isn't the team that lost to Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. But we still know that Matt LaFleur has the ability to get to the NFC Championship. Like, I know Matt LaFleur has the ability to win the division. He should be winning the division. That should be just the standard. The standard should be win the division. Like, I expect Matt LaFleur to win the division at this point.
Yeah.
What
Well, and you look at the roster
that's why-
around him for sure.
Yeah. Even though it's a completely new roster, I know he can win the division because he's won it with Aaron Rodgers, which, again, Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. But I would argue that there are pieces on this roster right now that are night and day better than what Aaron Rodgers had, especially on that defense. And to the point too, like you and I both agree that they should, if everything goes perfect, they should have a top 10 defense.
Yes.
I think a lot of I think a lot of what's Matt LaFleur's job is also riding on how well Jonathan Gannon performs, because this is his hire. This is the guy he wanted again after having success with Jeff Hafley. And we saw this defensive success underneath Jeff Hafley. And now, if this defense falls on its face and implodes,
Who do we look
who
at?
does that ultimately? Yeah, who do you look at? Obviously, you look at Gannon a little bit, but who hired Gannon? Well, it was the same guy who, again, the Joe Barry stuff, there's a lot more nuance there just because Jim Leonard took his good sweet time and then ultimately declined the job. And by the time that happened, they ended up with Joe Barry. But Jonathan Gannon now, this is his hire. So I mean, if, like you said, if they go 9-8 and they're just a 7th seed again and they're one and done, then yeah, I don't think that there is a logical reason to bring Matt LaFleur back just because of the fact that this is all you've got in the last, that'll be 4 years now, right? Or is it 3?
Sorry, what was it?
For 9 and 8. For
3.
the Packers being a 7th seed. The last 3 years, yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
I
because
just
it was
don't think that you
beating it was what? Beating Dallas and then Philly, or losing to Philly and then losing to Chicago. That would have been
because
3.
we were 9-7, and then we ended up in 2024. We ended up 11-6, and we lost to Niners. No. The Niners was 2 years ago. Last year we lost to the Eagles at 11-6, and 9-8. And then, I mean, well, let's look at this. Okay, so 2021. This is Matt LaFleur's record since 2021. I'll do 29. I'll do 2019. So he came in, he took over for Mike McCarthy. They went 6-9 and 1 before that.
In 2019?
In 2018.
Oh.
And then Matt LaFleur takes over. They go 13-3. Lost to the 49ers.
Yes. Barely squeaked by
2020.
Chicago. Or not Chicago, Seattle.
Yeah. And then obviously next year they go 13-3 again, losing the NFC Championship. So you go to the NFC Championship back to back. You lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That I like, again, that I genuinely believe that you do not, if you don't lose David Bakhtiari,
You win a Super Bowl.
you win a Super Bowl. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2021.
Then they added a game.
Lost to
They added a game
San Fran, and they were
in the divisional.
And they were what, 12-4?
They were
13-4.
13-4. Mm-hmm. Yes. 13-4. And obviously, no David Bakhtiari. Special teams blunder lost us that. 10-3.
2022 missed the playoffs.
Yeah, that was Aaron Rodgers. Wasn't Aaron Rodgers kind of hurt that year too?
It was his last year. I think he broke his thumb. I think that was like
Yeah.
I think that was the thumb injury in like the COVID toe season.
Yeah, so he's 8-9 at this point. Devontae Adams is gone. Alan Lazard is probably one of our top wide receivers. That was a roster that was kind of a farewell tour.
Yes,
realistically. So, 8-9 isn't terrible at all whatsoever, considering you're going through major roster turnover. You knew it was Aaron Rodgers' last year. They swap now. It's your first year. Jordan Love takes over. You go 9-8. And you lose in the divisional again to the
49ers.
San
But you
Francisco
beat
49ers.
Dallas 48-32 in a game which was more like 48-16 before we subbed everybody off.
So 9-8, new roster, youngest team. You beat the Dallas Cowboys, the number 2 seed. That's pretty gosh darn impressive. I do fundamentally believe that if Darnell Savage catches that pick, that we win that game.
In 2020,
you go on.
In 2024, we were 10-6.
11-6.
Sorry.
11-6. And we lost to the wild card to the Eagles.
That game,
10 points.
We had every receiver was hurt by the end of that game.
Yeah.
And we couldn't protect.
Yeah, that was just kind of, Eagles won the Super Bowl, right? Or did they lose to?
No, they won that year.
They won. Oh yeah, they beat the snot out of the Chiefs, 40-22.
And
that's right.
And then 2025, we go 9-8 again, or 9-7-1.
Well, no, we tied 9-7-1.
9-7-1, and then we lose to the Bears in a heartbreaker.
In a game you should have won.
In a game that was
I understand
in our control.
Yeah. So these last couple of years, I know he hasn't been 9-7 or 9-8. He's been 9-8 2 of the last 3 years, and then 11-6 in 2024. But you're still squeaking into the playoffs, and again, you go 13-3. You're basically effectively 13-3, 13-3, 13-4. Your first 3 years with Aaron Rodgers, and I would argue a roster that wasn't as good overall as it is right now. I think that's fair to say. I think the offensive line I don't know. Maybe the offensive line's a little bit better, about the same, just given the injuries recently. But I don't think you can say, if you're the Packers organization, hey, Matt LaFleur, getting to the playoffs isn't enough, is enough. I don't think you can say that comfortably to Matt LaFleur. I think that, again, if it's another 9-7 season that leads to a 7th seed and he doesn't win anything, he doesn't get us to the NFC Championship, then I'm like, okay, we've done this effectively. We've been a 7th seed the last 4 years. Is this his ceiling now? That's a tough conversation.
Sure about that. Maybe as a head coach, but I think as strictly as a player.
It's tough because I understand it's I understand it is, and I don't want to use, it's not an excuse. It's a younger team. I'll put that in there. I understand when there's a coaching turnover, it can set you back. It can set you back. It obviously didn't when Matt LaFleur took over from 2018 to 2019. We went from 8-9 to 13-3. And 13-3, and that's when Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs, right? In 19. Was it 19 and 20?
Or was it 2021?
It was one of those. So either way, Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers both worked in tandem. I do firmly believe that Matt LaFleur helped revitalize Aaron Rodgers a bit, helped him with those back-to-back MVPs, and Aaron Rodgers helped Matt LaFleur because Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest throwers of the football ever. And now you have, in essence, Matt LaFleur's system with Brian Gutekunst's pieces. That's what I want to. That's how I want to say it.
Yeah.
Just because Brian Gutekunst didn't hire Matt LaFleur, and so you have Matt LaFleur's system with Brian Gutekunst's pieces. So maybe that does create conflict. Some would argue it does. Some would argue it doesn't. I don't know. I'd be more inclined to argue that it does kind of create some issues here and there, because I know that Matt LaFleur doesn't even go to the combine. That's a conversation for another day in and of itself. So what do you do? Legitimately, let's say they make it to the divisional round and they lose. Let's say Matt LaFleur wins the division and they lose in the divisional round to the eventual Super Bowl champions. Are Are you comfortable with keeping him?
So it depends on how the season goes. If it's like
they won the division.
Well, you can win the division. You can win the division handily at 13-4, or you can win the division like by the skin of your teeth and win like 8 one-score games, which could have gone the other way. It really depends. That is a question that like a lot more depends on. And again, if the whole team gets hurt again, you can't really blame injuries on Matt LaFleur. So
yeah, I agree. And then like if you don't have the depth, then that's whose fault is that? Well, then you make the argument that it's Brian Gutekunst's fault because
he didn't build the roster.
He's the guy. Yeah, he built the roster, and if he's not building depth, well, but then you could also say, well, Matt LaFleur kept Adam Stenovich and the offensive line coach.
Yes.
So, I mean, even now, I feel like that excuse is a little iffy.
For sure. It's definitely a little overused.
I mean, I do agree with you. Like you said, like it depends how the season goes. But what it is going to, like, man, again, I know we're talking about a lot of what ifs here, which tis this part of the season. Okay, so let's say for the sake of the argument here, if the Packers win the division solidly and lose in the conference championship or losing the divisional round. Sorry, not the conference, not the NFC championship. They lose in the divisional round.
Yeah.
Do you keep Matt LaFleur?
Man, because you can do a lot worse as a coach than Matt LaFleur.
You could, yeah. What if it's a choke job again? I know I'm adding a lot of what ifs here.
There are.
That's what makes this so tough. Because like, I know one aspect of it, like this coaching cycle, I understand why they extended Matt LaFleur and they kept him. Like because your window is now, and you want to keep as much continuity as possible. And Matt LaFleur is a good coach. He's a good offensive mind. I do believe that. But the question is can he get you to the Super Bowl? Because my expectation is that he can get us to the NFC Championship because he's done so in the past. I know this because he's done it 2 times. I know he can get us to the divisional round because he's done it 2 times with less. So if I know that Matt LaFleur can both win the division and get us to the conference championship, I feel like the fact that he hasn't gotten us to the NFC Championship since 2020, if you, regardless of how healthy the team is, regardless of how obviously barring like knock on wood again, you losing your quarterback is devastating to any team. I feel like we can agree with that.
Yes.
I'm not gonna fault Matt LaFleur if he doesn't win games with Tyrod, if he doesn't win 10, 15 games with Tyrod Taylor. I won't blame him at all for that.
I wouldn't.
If you have your quarterback. But if you have Jordan Love starting the entire year playing really good football, I feel like the minimum for Matt LaFleur to keep his job going into 2027 is that he has to get us to the NFC Championship. I'm not saying he has to win because I know that's hard. I know winning in the NFL is hard.
If it was easy, everyone would be doing
it. Exactly. But just given the fact it's been 9-7 lost in wild card, 11-6 lost in wild card, 9-8, a little bit better, lost in the divisional. 2022 missed the playoffs. 2021 lost in the divisional round, and then 2019 and 2020 you're losing in the NFC Championship after winning the division. You need to win. You need to win the division. You need to get back to the NFC Championship to keep your job. I don't think that's improper to say, regardless of if he absolutely demolishes the division. If he demolishes the division and still loses in like the wild card, especially if he loses in the wild card or loses in the divisional round, I think you're having questions. And I do agree, like fair. The manner in which they lose does play an impact to it again. But I mean, the bar should be get us to the NFC Championship. And if you do that, then I'll trust you for another 3 years. Is that fair? Or am I being too critical?
That's fair.
I felt like it was fair. Yeah. Well, that is all the time we have for today, folks. I know we talked primarily about expectations. It's right around the corner, guys. It's July. August is going to be here before you know it, and then we'll get to be talking about roster cutdowns and preseason games and all that fun stuff. I can't wait. It's so close, yet so far away. Well, make sure you wish Matt a happy birthday, too, because it is going to be his birthday here. I appreciate everybody tuning in. That is all, folks. Until next time.
To Packers fans coast to coast, thanks for going beyond the frozen tundra. We appreciate you tuning in. And as always, go Pack Go!